What is going on? What is going on, team? It is Xander with Facer Training Technologies. Hope you guys all had a great 3 day weekend. It was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so the markets were closed. So we did have a 3 day weekend. The markets were closed on Monday. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop in. We're going to take a quick look at the charts, the facts and the charts and the technicals on some of the stocks that you guys have mentioned to me that you guys are watching this week, that you guys see value in, and that you guys, either have positions in or are interested in taking positions in, right? So if you guys are going to be getting any value out of these stock talks, please drop a like, hit subscribe, drop some comments. It definitely helps the YouTube algorithm so that this can get out to more people. That way, people can stay a little bit more informed about what they're doing in the markets, because it really is pretty easy to lose a lot of money if you're really not aware of what you're doing, and you're just kind of gambling, not really investing. So smash that like button, comment, subscribe, um, and let's just hop right into it. So what we're going to be taking a look at, the first thing we're going to look at is going to be looking at /NQ, right? So what this is it's going to be the overall market, and that's going to be kind of giving us a glance of what's going on in the overall market, right? So over the last week, what we've kind of been seeing is we've seen a bit of a pullback taking place. And then just over this weekend right now, we're seeing a bit of a bounce off of the SMA, the 180-day SMA. And so once we see this bounce, obviously we're starting to head a little bit back up. So what this is going to be able to tell us, right, is some of the stocks that we're going to be either looking at right now or just in general, some of the stocks in the market, right? They follow along with the general market. So if the market's selling off, they're going to be selling off. The market's recovering, they're going to be recovering. So just to keep this as a reference and for you guys to be able to look at, hey, is this stock following along with the general market, or is there something else that's moving the price in those particular stocks, right? So one of the first ones that we're going to take a look at is going to be NEO. And then we're also going to take a look at Zoom. We're also going to be looking at FedEx. We're going to look at Twitter. What's going on with Twitter? Why is Twitter selling off, right? We're going to look at Salesforce, Penn National Gaming. We're going to also look at Nano Dimension. We're also going to look at 3D Systems, which is DDD. We're going to look at Workhorse. We're also going to look at Mara, which used to be, it was a runner last week, I believe. Also, we're going to look at Snap and a few other ones. So what these stocks are, they're going to be able to, you can add these to your watch list, keep an eye on them. Hopefully this video helps you guys out with, analysis, and so that you guys can, just be more informed as to what's happening with certain stocks, right? So let's go ahead and hop into NEO real quick. So taking a look at NEO, we've kind of seen a pullback happening similar to what's been happening in the overall market, right? So this can be like, hey, this could be similar to, the market's been selling off. This has also been selling off. But one additional thing you want to be looking at, right, is going to be, you want to look at the news and, the events that are happening within these particular stocks and companies, right? So with NEO, for example, we've been seeing a bit of a sell-off due to, the Chinese stocks dipping down amid the new COVID-19 lockdowns in that country, right? So we can see that that's been happening ever since Friday, the 15th. And so we've been seeing a bit of a pullback. So, it would be no surprise to see this continue to sell off as more lockdowns, are taking place. And even though the market's recovering, because, this was such a negative catalyst, this could continue to push this price down. So we've seen a fairly consistent, price hold above, the 180-day SMA, popped right back up, came down to SMA, popped up, came back down to SMA, popped right up. And so it's coming down again. And it would be fair to assume, that it could come down close to, or, hit that SMA line, which is around 50.49.77 right now. What we're looking at with the RSI and the MACD, we're seeing a fairly strong pullback on the RSI, strong pullback on the MACD. What we want to wait for is we want to wait for the RSI to, be oversold for a great opportunity, and the MACD to start, showing us signs of a reversal, along with, obviously the price action finding a support and breaking through the EMA, above the EMA, right? So that's what we're watching. So what I usually do is I set my alerts to, below the price and above the price to see what happens tomorrow, right? Because over the 3-day weekend, a lot could have changed. So we're going to want to kind of see what happens tomorrow morning and go from there, basically. But as of right now, the price is selling off. What we're waiting for is consolidation, break through the EMA. That's when we're going to want to have an entry point on NEO. As of right now, though, it's just something to keep an eye on. The opportunity is definitely presenting itself, but it's still too early, I would say, to jump into this from my personal opinion. So the upside was presented is 16-17%. However, we're watching the downside potentially down to this support level back here, and that's about a 9-10% risk, right? So make sure if you're in it, make sure to have your stop losses, manage your risk, pay attention to that. As far as hopping in, if you're not into it yet, like I said, wait for that consolidation, wait for that confirmation, and wait for this pullback to end before you jump right into it. That way you don't ride the waves down. You're just taking advantage of the upsides, right? So the next one we're going to want to take a look at is going to be Zoom, ZM. With Zoom, something similar. Also we're in a point we're about to sell off. We've been selling off, ever since October 19th, pretty much. We've been kind of heading down, making lower highs and lower lows. We broke through the SMA and we've kind of stuck below that SMA line for some time now. And we're approaching this SMA right up here, as we did over here. We got rejected, over here got rejected, came back up right now. We're at the SMA right now. So, it could be rejected at this point. According to the RSI and the MACD, we're not looking the best. So, it's very, it's very fair to assume that we could get rejected through here. So what we want to be watching is we want to be watching for a long position. We'd be wanting to watch a continuation of this uptrend, a break through this SMA, confirmation, and then a continuation to the upside. However, based on previous patterns, we're seeing that it continuously keeps getting rejected. RSI is not looking good. MACD is not looking good. So, if we break through this EMA here, we're probably going to start heading down. So I wouldn't say this is the best opportunity to be hopping into, Zoom right now, at least over the next, day or two or week potentially, because this could take a little bit to sell off. However, the opportunity is presenting itself. If this ever does take off, we're seeing, to the upside, a 36%. To the downside, we're seeing about a 13%. So once again, similar to, what I mentioned with NEO, if you're in it, manage your risk. If you're not, wait for this pullback to play out before you jump into this opportunity. As great as this, as great as you might think that Zoom is, or it will be, you obviously don't want to be riding these waves down, right? So you want to wait for it to bottom out, hop in towards the upside once we see a confirmation of the break of the EMA. So the next one we're going to want to take a look at is going to be Twitter, right? We want to look at Twitter. What's happening with Twitter? It's kind of been a big talk lately, mostly because we saw a fairly large, drop here of, let me take a look here, of about, 20% over just the span of a few days. And what happened here was, as many people have heard probably, Trump got banned off of Twitter. And obviously this was a very negative catalyst for Twitter, right? And so we started seeing this massive pullback. Currently, we're seeing a continuation of this pullback. It's hard to say, how long this pullback is going to last because of, the ban. However, similar to, the same thing we do with most stocks, right, is we're going to be watching for that break of the EMA if we want to jump into this towards the upside, right? And, take advantage of that 23% profit potential. However, like I said, what we're watching the RSI, we're watching the MACD. The RSI is bottomed out. However, we did see it bottomed out down here as well. It consolidated a bit and then it continued downwards. So at this point, the main thing that I'd be watching is, because our RSI is, below 30, it's on the oversold. It's more so on the oversold side, because our MACD, has been selling off. We're seeing, that downward trend on the MACD for some time. It doesn't mean it won't, continue to, right? So just because it has been doing it doesn't mean all of a sudden it has to reverse. It can continue to, sell off for however long, right? So what we want to be watching at this point is, what I've done is I've set my alerts to, the EMA line, and then I've also set it below the current price, simply because if it continues to sell off, I will be notified. If it breaks above the EMA, I'll also be notified, and I'll be able to take advantage of that upside that's going to be coming up. As of right now, though, it is on watch. I am staying patient with this stock, kind of seeing how things play out tomorrow. If it continues to sell off, I'm just going to be patient. If it, flips, I should, potentially I could take a position on this. So the next one that we're going to be watching is going to be FedEx, or that you guys are watching, that we're going to take a look at. FedEx, FDX. So FedEx, seeing a strong big pullback right here. We were on the oversold side. We did have a bit of a pull, a push up to this resistance line, but now we're starting to see a bit of a rejection coming down from this resistance line. So we're also watching the RSI MACD. It seems like it is breaking down below the EMA. So if it stays below, we're going to stay patient. However, if it, finds support here on the EMA and then continues to the upside tomorrow, then it could potentially be a good play here. However, like I said, the RSI is not looking too hot, neither is the MACD. So it would be fair to assume that it could continue to sell off. It's just a matter of what happens tomorrow. And we can kind of go from there. As of right now, though, it's not really the greatest setup. Obviously, longer term, the opportunity is definitely there of about 20% to the upside, back to the highs of 305. But on the short term, over the next week, especially towards tomorrow, what we want to be watching is we want to watch what happens tomorrow morning and overall in the entire day. If we continue to sell off, we're probably going to start heading down a little bit further. So that's kind of the play, and we can potentially come back down to the 229 mark, because we still have room on the RSI to continue to drop. So that's kind of the situation with FedEx. CRM is going to be the next one that we're going to take a look at, and that's Salesforce. Salesforce, it's kind of been selling off ever since September. Saw a little bit of a push up, sold back off, a little bit of push up, sold off. Found a bit of support or resistance up at this level. Ever since then, though, it's somewhat been just selling off, and especially for the last month and a half. Yeah, it's just been selling off. As of right now, we're looking at the RSI. It is close to the oversold side. It's more so on the oversold side. So to the upside, we've obviously have some room and some potential. However, it's still continuing to sell off. So what we're watching is we're watching the EMA here, and just staying patient. Once we see a break above this EMA over here, then we can start thinking about, is this a good opportunity to take a position to ride this up to, potentially, 21, 22, 23%, back up to, 260 levels. But for now, we're just going to stay patient. We did set our alerts above or at the EMA, and then we're just watching what happens to it tomorrow and over the next week. It has been selling off, so not the best opportunity to be jumping into this right now. However, it is presenting a good opportunity long term. So something to think about long term. Once this does consolidate, once it does form a reversal, then this could be a great opportunity to jump in and ride the wave up. So that is Salesforce. The next one we're going to take a look at is going to be Penn National Gaming. Strong, strong bullish pattern, holding above the SMA for the most part, 180-day. We are starting to see a bit of a pullback, which, we saw for the most part here. So really depends what happens tomorrow. We do still have some room to push down a little bit lower. But, Like I said, it was a 3-day weekend, so a lot could have changed over 3 days. So it's just a matter of seeing what happens tomorrow morning and what's going to happen throughout the day. If it starts pushing up, we definitely have a great opportunity, a 10% opportunity back to the upside. Um, but what we want to watch is we want to watch for that RSI to reverse as well as that MACD. As of right now, though, it's heading down and it's still below the EMA. So the opportunity is definitely presenting itself, but like I said before, stay patient and just let it play out. Let the pullback play out. The more patient you are, the bigger that opportunity is, the bigger that profit potential is being created for you, right? And you're not riding these waves up and down. So once again, not the opportunity is there. It's pulling back. It is a strong, like I said, bullish pattern. So it is a fairly consistent uptrend. So if it does have a little bit of a pullback, once we start seeing a reversal on the MACD, once we start seeing a reversal on the RSI, and a confirmation with the price action and the EMA, then it's definitely a very decent opportunity to hop into this and continue to ride it up as it slowly and consistently makes higher highs. The next one that we're going to want to take a look at is going to be Sandile Growers, and that's SNDL. SNDL. This one, not something I would personally trade. It does seem like a penny stock, and we've kind of been seeing a downtrend over the last year since May. We saw a bit of volume coming in here, but we're starting to see a pullback here as again, this is a little bit of a harder, stock to, I would say, to predict, just because we've all of a sudden seen a lot of volume coming in, right? So we kind of what we want to do is we want to pay attention to what's happening in the news, what kind of articles are coming out, right? So they did file for a mixed shelf offering of up to $400 million. So this could be driving the price action to the upside. However, on the short term, we're seeing a significant pullback. We have been holding above this SMA for since pretty much November. So if it does pull back to around 55 cents, which we're at 60 about, we did pull back to 60 in after hours. It does seem like it has room to continue to pull back. So I wouldn't say this is the best opportunity. The next potential level of support would be the SMA line, but obviously we've seen it doesn't hold, and it's been below the SMA line for ever since, right? So we have been seeing a sell-off and a break of that SMA ever since pretty much I want to say May, right? It broke pretty much June, end of June. It broke the SMA and it continued to sell off. So it wouldn't be surprising to see it break through this SMA once again and continue to sell off, especially with what we're seeing with the RSI and what we're seeing with MACD. The volume, it used to be a little bit higher. Now it seems to be dying off a bit. So if the volume just continues to die off, this could just, rip right back down. So I would probably steer away from this stock, at least for a long position, at least in the short term. I'm not entirely sure what's going to be happening in a year or two from now. I haven't looked into this stock in that much detail, but as of right now, I'm not seeing too much, potential here. So there's definitely better opportunities out there to take advantage of. So as of right now, still on a sell-off. What I'd be watching that 55-cent level for the SMA. Make sure it doesn't break that. If it does, then it's probably going to continue to head down. If it holds it, there might be potential to rip back up. But from what we're seeing on the RSI and the MACD, it's not looking too hot. So not something I would be personally looking into. The next one we're going to take a look at is going to be NNDM. NNDM, similar to PENN, PENN. We're seeing a strong bullish pattern, heading up, staying above the SMA. As of right now, we are still above the EMA. And we're seeing a little bit of a drawdown here, but what I've personally done is I've set alerts. So once this thing starts breaking up or continuing up to the upside, we can continue to, potentially hop into this trade, and, capitalize on this upside if it continues to go up. As of right now, though, we're starting to see a blip on the MACD on towards the downside. So this might continue to sell off. It really depends what really happened over these 3 days. Um, Tuesday morning is kind of more of a better time to be able to tell, what's happening with this particular stock. As of right now, though, it's not the worst opportunity. It is, like I said, a strong bullish pattern. So it's been kind of heading up, and having not having a lot of trouble, heading up to the upside. So this could be potentially a great opportunity. It really just depends. If it holds above the EMA on Tuesday, then we can see if we've got potential to continue on this uptrend, without seeing a bigger pullback taking place. But overall, staying above the SMA, sitting above the EMA as of right now. We're somewhat in middle grounds with the RSI. This could just been a little bit of a pullback, and then we can continue to see an upside. We're really gonna have to see what happens on Tuesday morning to really be able to gauge as to where this price is going to be headed over the next couple of days. The next one we're going to take a look at is going to be DDD. DDD saw strong push up here in January, mid-January, beginning of January. Strong push up. 3D systems. I believe there was some positive catalyst that took place that pushed this price up. Overall, though, what we're watching, it looks like we're still holding above the EMA. So this could continue to push up. It looks like we're, pulling in a reversal on the RSI and the MACD. I don't see that there's going to be a pretty significant drop, just as we've seen here. It might just be a small little correction that we've seen right here, and continue up to the upside. But once again, watching on Tuesday morning, what's happening? Are we going to break below the EMA, or we're going to hold? If we hold, we've probably got potential to head right back up and continue upwards. If we do break the EMA, though, we probably would see a greater correction take place. So this might not be the best opportunity. So really what we're watching is we're watching on Tuesday morning to see if it holds above the EMA. If it does, and we're seeing, strong volume coming in, then we can probably potentially see a continuation to the upside. So that's pretty much the things that I'm watching with DDD. Overall, not a bad setup. Just be careful. Make sure you have your, risk management in place and your stop losses if you are already in the trade. If you're not, then pay attention to, what we just discussed, the technicals. Watch the EMA, watch the RSI, and watch the MACD to make sure. Have your alerts set as I do, one at the EMA and then one above the price that it's currently at to see which direction it's going to be headed on Tuesday morning. The next one we're going to take a look at is going to be Workhorse, WKHS. Workhorse. So, we're seeing a fairly horizontal pattern taking place here. As of right now, though, we've been seeing, a sell-off taking place on Workhorse. We are not yet bottomed out towards the oversold side on the RSI. However, we are approaching the 180-day EMA. But it does, it does tend to break the EMA here. So it could be very possible that we're just going to break right through it and continue to the downside a bit more. But we are starting to approach the oversold side, and the MACD we haven't really seen any indication of a reversal quite yet. So this one I'd be a bit patient on, see what happens on Tuesday. I have set my alerts below and above, one around the EMA and then one below the price that it's currently at to kind of see what happens tomorrow morning. If it starts pulling back up, so we do have the potential of having it pull back, run back up to the upside of 31, which would be a 35.3% upside. However, you also want to watch your downside, which could be a 15% risk that we're taking to the the nearest support level. So at this point, really, I would just be waiting for the the RSI to at least get to, a stable oversold level before, we start seeing a potential reversal to the upside. As of right now, though, just watching the MACD, watching the RSI, watching to see if it holds on this SMA line or not. And once the price breaks through the EMA, that's when we'd be looking to jump right back into this. But as of right now, it's still on the sell off. So we've got, like I said, we've got, an alert set at above the EMA, and we also have an alert set, below the price that it's currently at to kind of gauge where it's going to be headed in the next day or two or three over the next span, over the next week. The next one that we're going to take a look at is going to be RIDE, RIDE. RIDE currently heading to the downside. So falling knife, right? We don't want to jump in at this price or at this kind of setup. We're still seeing a massive, sell off on or downside on the RSI, heading down to the downside. MACD is also selling off to the downside, right? So we're still watching those two. Potentially might have a support at, the SMA, but as of right now, what we're watching is we're watching the EMA heading to the downside. This is more of a horizontal pattern as well. So we've got support right around here, and we've got resistance right around here and here, or mostly like the 31 level around this area. So as of right now, it looks like we did come off this, this resistance level, and we're heading down to the downside. So what I would be watching is I'd be watching the, the break of the EMA up here. We're watching the RSI to, be more so in the oversold territory, and then a reversal on the MACD. As of right now, though, it's a falling knife, not something I'd be jumping into. But however, the opportunity is being presented. So something to pay attention to, a stock to definitely have your alerts on, and keep it on your watch list. The next one that we're going to take a look at is going to be Mara. This was a runner last week, I believe. So we did have quite a bit of a run here. And then we're seeing a pullback here. So we're approaching, a pretty critical level to where, we're going to have a breakout either to the upside or the downside. So far, we've been seeing a sell-off taking place. However, we're starting to see a bit of a reversal on the RSI, and also, the MACD has been selling off for some time. So once we start seeing, a reversal on the MACD and a confirmation by the RSI, and then, of course, a break above the EMA, then we can potentially look for a long position back up to the upside, which is about a 27%, profit potential. But once again, manage your risk, keep your stop losses on, and pay attention to the support levels, right? So we've got a support level down here around 21.19. So, if we break the support, we'll potentially see continuation on the sell-off. However, in the next day or two, we should see, a clearer picture as to where this price is really going to be taking off to, either to the upside or the downside. As of right now, though, the opportunity is being presented. It is forming. So be patient and wait for that break and that confirmation before jumping in, right? The next one we're going to take a look at is going to be Snap, SNAP. Once again, bullish pattern. We've been seeing an uptrend. Saw a fairly sizable, pullback taking place here. So this is a great opportunity. MACD is looking like it's about to turn around. Same thing with the RSI. We did see, it more so in the oversold territory on, Thursday, I believe it was. So Friday, we saw a bit of a, uptrend back up to the SMA. And now what we're going to be watching is we're waiting for that break above the EMA. Once we see that break above the EMA, that's our entry point. And then we're just going to ride it back up to, the 57 area, maybe higher, which is about a, 12% mark. And since, it is a bullish pattern, it could be expected for it to continue to head to the upside. We are having, earnings coming up February 2nd. So, pay attention to that. That could, that could have an impact on the direction of the price. If the earnings are great or they're bad, it really just depends, how the market reacts to the earnings report. So until then, though, the pullback is fairly good. So definitely a great opportunity. If we're seeing, like I said, we see a break of the EMA, definitely an entry point for us to be paying attention to. But from the technical standpoint, this is looking like a great opportunity. So for those of you who stuck around towards the end, you guys are getting some great opportunities here. A great stock to put on your watch list, potentially a great opportunity to jump into and make some money. Once again, manage your risk and have your stop losses on. There were 2-3 more stocks that some of you mentioned that you guys wanted me to look over. So the first one, or one of the last few, is going to be AVGO. Strong bullish pattern. So I like that. That looks great. We did see a fairly significant pullback, and we're starting to see a bit of a stabilization here on the RSI. We're gonna have to watch this MACD, wait for it to reverse, as well as the RSI. So we'll see what happens on Tuesday. I'd set my alerts, below the price, and obviously, above or at the EMA. So once we see that break back up to the upside, we can definitely hop in and take advantage of that. So from the EMA to the highs, we're seeing about a 2.2%, 2.2% profit potential. But since it is a bullish pattern, we can expect it to go higher. However, don't forget to, take into account your risk, right? So you're risking about, 6.6%, 6.7% back to this bottom support level here. So pay attention to that. Once again, wait for that break above the EMA, then, take action on that. The next one, second to last one, is going to be CAT, CAT. Also a great setup. Great bullish pattern we're seeing, staying above the SMA. Once again, also seeing a pullback. We're still watching that pullback taking place, right? We're still watching this pullback in motion. So, and we are having, dividends on 119. So on the 19th, so that should be on Tuesday. So, we could potentially see a pop right back up, not because, anything to do with dividends. However, there could be, dividend reinvestments taking place. So, it could prop up the price a little bit higher. But, the pullback has played out. We're waiting for a reversal on the MACD, RSI. It could continue to head down. Once again, you guys know the drill. Watch the EMA. Once we break the EMA, that's when we're going to want to hop in. However, it is a bullish pattern, and it is a great, it's got a great track record. So definitely something to keep in mind. But we're just what we want to do is we want to avoid running down with the price. So we'd rather wait for this great deal to present itself and then jump into it, and then I'll head back up while we're in it, right? So that's what we're really focusing on, right, from a technical standpoint. And the last one of the night for the week is going to be GILD. So Gilead Science, right? We all know the vaccine situation. So, I believe, the more vaccinations are going to start taking place, the more people are going to start taking vaccines. I believe Gilead is one of the 4 front runners on, the vaccine for COVID. So since we're seeing, more and more of people being vaccinated, we could see, potential run up of price, right? Back to, the highs that we were at back in May, right? So as of right now, we've seen, a pullback, a pretty significant pullback, and, it's been staying below the SMA. We just saw recently over the last maybe week and a half, a break above the SMA. and we've been holding above the EMA here, this blue line, for the last few days, right? And so we pulled back up above the EMA. As of right now, on the 4 hour time frame, we're seeing the RSI, still on the upside towards, the more overbought territory. However, we're not there yet. So, so we still have some room. Depending on what happens on Tuesday, we can still continue to see an uptrend. We are having, earnings coming up on the 2nd as well. So that could be a boost of, a positive catalyst, or it could be a negative catalyst. So really the price is going to start acting kind of towards what people are expecting to see on these earnings, right? MACD is looking good. RSI is looking fairly good. So this could continue to head up. We are above the EMA. So this is a pretty decent, play. However, make sure to have your stop losses in place and manage your risk, because you never know how this is going to play out, right? Depending on what happens on Tuesday, we can see if we're heading back up to the upside, or, if we're going to be heading to the downside for some reason. So just pay attention. Overall, though, that is it, guys. So once again, hope this helped you guys. Hope the analysis really kind of gives you a perspective of what you should be paying attention to. Yeah, so stay safe this week. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Make sure to like the video if you guys got any value out of this video. If this helped you guys in any way, whether it's, building your watch list, or, the technical analysis aspect to it and what you guys should be watching, and what I watch, what you guys should be watching, how I trade. So if that added value, if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. It definitely helps the YouTube algorithm, like I said in the beginning of the video, to push this video further out on the YouTube platform. That way more people can be informed and educated kind of on what it really takes to trade on from a technical standpoint. Because, most people struggle in the stock market, right? And it has to do more so with not really being educated. So when you really start understanding and analyzing these stocks from a technical standpoint, it's a little easier for you to actually capitalize on these moves, because you can actually, predict where these moves are going to be going, or you see them playing out live, So if you guys could do me a solid and drop a like, subscribe, comment, that'd be much appreciated. So good luck this week, guys. Hope you guys do well. Hope this helped. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. All righty, guys. See ya next week.